How's it going, everyone, and welcome to this video. In this one, we're going to be taking a look at a recent upload by Derek on his More Plates, More Dates channel. He covers a load of different topics on his channel, one of them being hair loss. And he just had this recent upload called Just Go Bald Because The Rock, Bruce Willis, and Jason Statham are attractive. They say, hey, you're losing your hair, why don't you just shave it? I mean, look at The Rock, look at Jason Statham, they're good looking guys. And people on the other side of the sort of hair loss world, which is an interesting point, we're going to be talking more about that in this video, often use that as a kind of counter argument. They say kind of like, you always just say the same thing. You got this handful of guys who are bald and they look good and they're rich and successful, so that should justify that every single guy should just shave their head if they're experiencing hair loss, right? So we're going to watch this video. I'm going to give you my opinions and they might not just be what you expect.
Today we're going to be talking about the age-old justification for going bald. The Rock, Jason Statham, Bruce Willis, Vin Diesel. Guys who are bald and are sick cunts who get lots of bitches and are attractive. You know, if this is something to justify shaving your head, like, by all means, do whatever you want, but don't put it on everyone that they need to fall into a camp of individuals who is okay with being bald.
This handful of guys we've got here are like the poster boys of bald men, right? And we see these guys quoted and used as good examples a lot. And I'll tell you, I'll be honest, when I first started this channel, I wrote a big list of all the videos that I wanted to cover and had goals for the channel as well. Get Jason Statham on the podcast. Get The Rock on the podcast to talk about their hair loss, you know? And for ages, I thought that would be a great idea. As you know, on the channel, we have interviews with like real life people, like real men who are experiencing this problem of hair loss and are able to talk about it openly. And as I went on and I spoke to more of these guys, I grew less kind of attached to the idea of getting these famous bald guys on the channel or on the podcast, because to be honest, they're not that relatable. I've hardly seen any of them talk about the whole dealing with losing their hair and just shaving their head ordeal at all. You know, I've never really seen them open up about it, whether it was a struggle, whether it wasn't a struggle, or sort of offer any advice to other guys who are kind of struggling to deal with their hair loss. Now, having said that, I do think that the place that they have is they act as a sort of catalyst, right? A lot of guys, when they first start losing their hair, myself included, the last thing you're thinking is, yeah, I'm just going to go bald, I'm just going to shave it. Some guys can do that and all the power to them. But I think most people in general, their first thought when they first find out they're losing their hair is a massive freak out, and they envision this horrible bald looking guy and they think, absolutely no way, I do not want to go bald. But because you have these poster boys, right, like I said, Jason Statham, The Rock, just maybe it plants that first seed of sort of positivity, that first bit of possibility that they then themselves could also rock a shaved head and also look good and be happy and successful and all the rest of it. And that is where I think that these guys actually have a place.
There's like a movement against like keeping your hair, or there's a movement against guys going bald for guys who do try to keep their hair. And it's just funny to see this tug of war of arguments between the two camps of guys who are like, fuck the baldies, and then the bald guys are like, you guys are fucking idiots for sacrificing your health for keeping your hair.
Even myself, right, this, having grown out my hair a little bit to show you this balding, sort of to get different types of content and whatnot, I got guys in the comment section, what the hell are you doing? Guys, and how the hell can you expect to, you know, promote people of shaving their head and accepting it when you're rocking that dirty, scabby hair that you've got going on? People getting incredibly passionate on one side or the next. Now, the main point here, the thing that I try to focus on my content, and I think Derek also tries to do the same, is ultimately let people decide for themselves. But the main goal being to eventually just accept yourself, accept who you are, accept the body, your look. For me, the main thing is acceptance. You've got guys who've got hair like this who don't care. They're rocking what they've got and it isn't a thing for them.
I understand the side to both arguments, but the fact that they even care to like shit on each other is kind of insane. This is all a risk to reward in your own head of the potential health consequences of exposing yourself to whatever drugs you may use pharmacology-wise to prevent hair loss, or the money and pain of getting transplant, or
like he said, it's almost like a cost-benefit analysis that you are going to need to do yourself. For me, I don't think that stuff is worth it. The drugs, the potential side effects, the cost, all of that stuff, however big or small the side effects, whatever, for me, it wasn't worth it. And this whole content that I have here, and this is where I think some people are going to be surprised. A lot of people do misjudge the content that I have on this channel as like you've just got to shave it off, right? And that's the main thing. A lot of my views and the main sort of watch time is often centered around those portions in the videos that I do, okay? The videos where I have guys feature on the channel, relatable guys, where they're shaving their hair off, that thinning hair for the first time. Most people, all they want to see is the bit of the guy shaving their head and how they look afterwards, right? And I suppose that's the bit that maybe instills the most emotion. But by not watching the whole story, right, we do the pre-interviews, we do the post-interviews, we do the podcast episodes. They are missing so much value and a large portion of the whole point of my channel, where a guy will come on and they'll say about how much of a struggle it was, their experience through losing their hair. And afterwards, when we come back a few weeks or months after they've been rocking the bald head, you know, they talk about the ups, the downs, the things that help them get through it, the things that they like about it, dislike about it. It's all just real stuff. What Derek is basically saying here is it's up to you. And that's where I appreciate him, right? He's not saying, listen, he's not a guy that's out there saying, if you don't do anything and everything you can to hold on to your hair, then you're a pussy, you're this, you're that, your life's going to be over, right? And it's honestly, it's refreshing to see this kind of attitude coming from someone who is obviously on the side of doing what they need to do to hold on to the hair.
You know, would you rather deal with pharmacology, transplants, hair systems, or not deal with it at all and just shave your head? You know, there's health risks, there's money at fucking stake, there's pain at stake, or you can just do nothing and accept it and just go bald and shave your head. And then at that time, it's like, you know, do you look fine with your shaved head versus not a shaved head? That's your own personal interpretation. At the end of the day, you have to be the judge of what you deem worth doing. If something is making you so insecure that it's affecting your performance in an everyday setting, and with women, talking to women, you know, even like stuff like business presentations, public speaking, stuff like that, if you're less confident because you are balding, like that is something that is a sign that you should be in this camp of individuals who's doing something to deal with it, in my opinion. If you're somebody who doesn't give a fuck, like there's a lot of guys who really don't give a fuck, and they're always in my comment section, those guys should shave their head. And by all means, at the end of the day, it's all your own, your personal perception of what is important to you should be based on your opinion of what matters.
Making a decision based on your own personal perception. And this is a big reason, and shameless plug here, why I started Baldcafe, because I feel like the side of accepting, you know, the hair loss and trying to move on from that, and realizing that, you know, you don't need hair to be incredibly successful and happy. Like, I genuinely believe you don't. And I started this channel and I wanted to share these stories to show that side of it, because I feel like that side of it was incredibly underrepresented. The thing that he's saying about The Rock and Bruce Willis and stuff, that whole side of it didn't really do anything to help. Just using that one sort of example wasn't doing much to reinforce that. As I said, the guys on the other side of the hair loss argument will use that as like a counter argument, say like, listen, there's only those few people, so that's more reason why I should hold on to my hair, because look, you can only use an example of a handful of guys who are successful and do look good with a bald head. You know, that's why we started this channel and why I get all these people on the Instagram, on the YouTube sharing their own story, and why I shaved, you know, and why I wanted to share my own story as well, because I feel like I said previously, that it's way more relatable and way more of an argument. And this channel is not just shave it, bro, and everything's fine and get jacked. Like, that is overused, quite honestly. Those things help, like being healthy helps, but it's not like abuse roids and just be like a douchebag, like muscly, shaved-headed guy and just super obnoxious. Like, that's not what it's about. And again, the point being, in the interviews, that's why I have guys, you know, all ages saying like, listen, when I was going through hair loss, it crushed me. Like, it crushed my confidence. Like, I couldn't talk to people. I didn't want to go to work. I couldn't go swimming. I couldn't play sports. Like, that's real. That's keeping it real. And again, you have people who have then shaved their head and they come back and you say, you know what? For the first like week or whatever, I was looking at them in the mirror and I thought, I don't know about this. Like, I kind of miss my hair. I'm just not sure about it. I'm not sure if I've done the right thing. You know, I put that in there because, again, that's real. Like, it's a journey. This whole hair loss thing is a massive journey. And I never wanted Baldcafe to turn into this, like, bald guys rule. Like, bald guys are so awesome. And do you know what I mean? Like, I hope I'm making sense here. I'm rambling like hell. I never wanted to be seen as, or the people on the channel to be seen as, like, bald men. Like, just men. Like, men. Men experiencing hair loss like many, many men do. Many, many men. I think that's a 50 Cent song.
You know, do what makes you happy.
And with hair transplants and, like he says, plastic surgery, I think it's important not to make that decision based on purely on emotion. You know, there's things you can do, things like CBT, right? Cognitive behavioral therapy. I've been reading a lot about that recently. I think there's a lot of value in working on the way you kind of think about it, the way you perceive it, and try to get a realistic view of how being bald and having no hair will actually affect your life. You know, I was there, guys. It's very easy to get so wrapped up in your own thoughts and emotions, thinking that it's all going to be over if you lose your hair. Going out like this, which I'm going to be talking about more in a video, going out like this and realize that no one looked at me. No one said anything negative to me. Now, I'm not saying it never, ever happens, but, you know, no one has done that. And being able to recognize that and then realizing, like, oh, is it so vitally important that I do all that stuff to keep onto their hair? Or do I just need a nudge in the right direction to realize that actually I have the confidence and I have the security in who I am, what I look like, that I need to do all the things that I want to do. And maybe going down the road of plastic surgery isn't required. Ultimately, guys, we're all men and we're all dealing with the same issue. And I feel like that should be more of a focus, and honestly, like, I show more empathy towards people because we all know it's a struggle. We're all dealing with the same thing here.
Do you. That is ultimately the end of, that's the point. Whatever you do is what should make you happy, and that is what's important.
Do what you feel is necessary for yourself. So some closing thoughts on this one, guys. I think if you're looking for that inspiration for the first time, then The Rock and other guys, you know, they do serve somewhat of a purpose. But find someone more relatable. Like, there might be something telling you, I kind of want to go with the shaved head. It's probably better to just look around you. You know, you probably got family members, teachers, university lecturers, people down the shop, people out in the street who are rocking that shaved head or thinning hair or whatever. People you can kind of relate to more and even approach and ask. That's one of the best things you can do as well, right? Find someone more relatable and ask them for their advice, quite honestly. I like that Derek gives this sort of balanced argument. That's going to be it for this one. Something slightly different. I was sent this video loads over on Instagram, so I thought I'd give my opinion on it. I want to thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you very soon in that next one. Goodbye.